let's see what we got today. Okay, ooh. Y'all should like this one if this is what it should be, and in fact it is. And this is something that there's a number of things I have to cover with this. So first of all, this is Genesee Light. This is one of their vintage tap handles. And it's worth noting that these tap handles can be super tricky. And the reason why I say that is because the design of them makes it hard to tell apart certain versions if you're just buying them online. So you do need to make sure that you're paying attention to who you're buying them from, what it says on the listing, and stuff like that. And I'll cover a couple of the reasons why. So first of all, Genesee, well-known beer brand. They're from New York. So I think that it actually says right here, yep, Rochester, New York, Genesee Brewing. And they're particularly known for their Genesee Cream Ale. That's a pretty classic beer that they produce, but they also produce a number of other well-known beers, including Genesee Light. And with this tap handle, this is one of their vintage ones. So a lot of the tap handles that I do cover or carry tend to be vintage just because they're discontinued ones that aren't actively on taps. And so that means that if you're picking them up, you know that you're not getting something that should be actually tapping for a beer. So with this particular tap handle, the reason why I was interested to point it out is because of the material that it's made out of. So this particular one, and there's a couple of other things too. So first of all, with the design, it's worth noting that these can break. So this is a relatively small point here. So sometimes you'll just see the top of it and you won't see the bottom portion, and that means the bottom portion broke off. These ones are less likely to break, and one of the reasons for that is because this is actually made out of metal. And that's the point that I wanted to cover, is that the production method and the actual design for the metal ones looks very similar to plastic ones. So this one is metal one, and then there's some later ones, I believe they're later, that were produced out of plastic that have the same shape, same design, and then also on top of that, because it's a same or similar design, it's kind of hard to tell the little crease. So with the plastic one, it's typically a two-part stamped one that's put together. So that means that you will typically notice a small line along the edge, as well as a small line right here. And you'll notice with this metal one that those, you don't really get that same production. With this, it really just looks like a single piece, but it's hard to tell just because of the design of the tap handle. So very important to note, very good to point out. And here you have the threading on the bottom. So let's see if we can get a good image there. So this is going to be your threading for the tap. Actually, I'm going to pause for one moment here. So hopefully you can see a little bit better now. I cleaned it out just a little bit, but that is the 3/8/16 threading, so that is the normal tap handle threading. One of the things that is worth noting about some of the tap handles similar to this Genesee one is that sometimes they'll have shorter threading. So that means that the actual threading will be the standard threading, but the actual depth of the threading is going to be a little shorter, just worth noting for display purposes, or if you're using it with an adapter or anything like that. So there we have Genesee Light. Also, as I mentioned, this particular model is made out of metal, so that means that you're going to get some decent little heft to it. If it's the plastic one, you'll notice it's significantly lighter. But hopefully that's helpful. If you guys do have questions about Genesee, about these taps, or have any other ones that you want me to feature, just shoot me out a message and I'll get back to you when I can.